Hello. You got it.
Okay. Once again, I'm going to hold a book. My name is Odie Hawkins. My inimitable, very imaginative video photographer is Salena-Hawkins, my wife. And we are putting together something that we call this here. The book is called Shackles of Time.
Shackles Across Time.
Shackles. Oh, sorry. Shackles Across Time.
Uh-huh.
And I just previously read a book called The Snake Doctrine. I want to say a couple of things about these books before I started reading. I credit myself, not egotistically, but factually, with being the creator of something that I'm calling the Pan-African Occult. And some of my best friends who question everything that I say ask me, why do you call it that? So I said, because it is. And if we assume that the occult is something that has to do with the supernatural, then we know by experience and by human history that the African occult would have to be different from the European occult or the Asian occult. And so far I've been able to discern, we've not had very many books that focused on the African occult and all of the various parts of the world that we find Africans in. So I got to work on that, and over the course of several years, I should say, maybe the past decade, I focused on writing about supernatural events that I've been privileged to be a part of and to witness as an African American. I am a member of the diaspora that took place when slavery was introduced on a global scale to all the various places we were abducted to. And one of the things that did happen, can I put this out now?
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that we know that did happen, no matter what the other people say, is that we took a lot of who we were to wherever we were taken. Africans were previously told, especially Africans in the diaspora, and I don't want to get preachy about this, you don't have no history, you don't have nothing. We took your name, we took your game, we took your... Well, that ain't true. And we're finding out more and more when we discover that Black Lives Matter in more than a physical way, but also in a psychological, a psychic way. And in many ways, a spiritual way. So my take on the Pan-African occult is centered more on the spiritual rather than the purely supernatural. We don't have any zombies and werewolves and things that spring up out of the coffin after dark and all this kind of stuff. So I would suggest for those who are interested in my version of the Pan-African occult, which probably is the only one because I don't know of anybody who claims to be a creator of the Pan-African occult, but so I guess that leaves me to start off with. I'm not talking about African writers, Oyono, Achebe, Soyinka, and those people who are writing about life from their own specific areas of understanding, the spiritual. I'm deliberately referring to the Pan-African experience from the African American occult, the African American point of view, and I'm saying North African American rather than Central American or Southern American, I'm sure the people down south get tired of being thought of as South Americans. I mean, they're just Americans too, if they want to assume their rightful designation. Okay, here we go.
Mm-hmm.
I won't spend a lot of time explaining what this is about. Hopefully, it'll explain itself
Okay.
as we go through the first 2 chapters.
Gotcha.
Starts off on the south side of Chicago, the far south side. No, sorry about that. That's the north side of Chicago. That's where the lake is. The lake, as you know, winds up from the south side, going up north. Morning, Bob. How many already? Got a busy day. Started out late. Only 5 this morning. I don't see how you do it. I can barely do 2. Well, you know, the old saying, the more you do, the more you can do. Yeah, I've heard that. See you later. Robert Quinn of Quinn Products and Company jogged past the older man as though he were a 440 man running a half mile. Chicago's near north side lakefront, from the grainy little beach in front of the Drake Hotel and back. Nothing to it. A baby could do it. He studied the buildings on his left as he jogged away from the Drake Hotel, Oak Street Beach, along the real outer drive. Beautiful way to start any day. Pushing it just a bit, he felt a familiar rush. The good vibe feeling of feeling good as he paced himself for the home lap. He lives in Rogers Park. Homebound, he nodded and waved at a collection of familiar strangers whom he shared his 7 a.m. run with. The 2 gay guys who looked like weightlifters, the 82-year-old grandmother, the trio of African American family members who always seem to be laughing about something. You guys laugh a lot, do you? Mrs. and Mrs. Chin, the white woman in front of him that he had secretly nicknamed Miss Black Booty.
Mm-hmm.
He eased up beside her with a few powerful strides. Hi, Hallie, how's it going? He was never quite prepared to deal with the seductive look she flipped in his direction. How could a woman running on the lakefront with no makeup, dressed in a pair of black leotards and a t-shirt, give anybody a seductive look? But she could, and she did.
Mm-hmm.
And it simply boiled down to the fact that she was a very sexy white woman.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, hi, Bobby. Funny, I was just thinking of you.
Mm-hmm.
He matched her stride for a few hundred yards. She wasn't even breathing hard. You say you were thinking about me? Uh-huh. I was just wondering if you were out here this morning. They exchanged smiles. You think I'd let you run out here by yourself? Once again, she gave him her seductive look.
Oh, Lord.
Sally Bergerman. I'm Swedish on both sides, but we don't brag about it. I guess that's typically Swedish, I think. He could only recall 2 conversations they'd had when they weren't running. The conversations, one while he was strolling off a Saturday night hangover, and the other when he gave her a lift home with an armful of groceries, were heavily laced with the suggestive expressions, her urge to let him know that she would be willing if he wanted to. Mm-hmm. I just love this time of day, don't you? Yeah, it's my favorite time. Morning, Bob. How's it going, George? Can't kick. Jogging through the tree-shaded streets of Rogers Park now, the familiar fraternity of joggers exchanged greetings, smiles. They reached the corner and jogged in place, waiting for the light to change before going in different directions. Well, I guess it's where we parked. Coming out tomorrow? If hell don't freeze over and the creek don't rise. Mm-hmm. It was one of the funniest things See you tomorrow. Bye-bye. You turn to admire Sally Bergman's behind. Yeah. Lady has a lot of backfield there, no doubt about it. Once again, he thought about what an affair would be like. We would be as hot as stolen pistols for a few months, and then I would be just as sad as any other brother who had left a sister to fool around with a white girl. Never known a brother who left a sister to fool around with a white girl who felt good about himself or her afterwards. 8:15 a.m. Dinah should be finishing her yoga by now. He smiled as he slowed his jog to a dog trot. Wonder what Dinah would say about me running with Sally Bergman. Yeah, probably nothing. She knows me too well. She knows I wouldn't do anything to jeopardize what we built up over the past 25 years. Robert, she'd never say Bob. I think the one thing I find terribly hard to forgive is the man who has a woman who goes through hell and high water with him and then leaves her for some fluffhead who fills out her skirt better. If you did that to me, I'd put a curse on you.
Okay.
I know she wouldn't be. That curse stuck in my throat there for a minute. I know she wouldn't do anything that stupid. Well, I don't think she would. But again, I bet you would too. The smile widened into a full-fledged grin. Who in the hell can fill out a skirt better than Dinah Ellis Quinn? 10 more blocks. A breeze stirring off the lake. Springtime in Chicago. Robert Quinn, the president and CEO of Quinn Products and Company, gave himself permission to gather wool as he revved up for the last laps of his morning jog. Dinah is putting a beautiful little breakfast together, heavy on fruit and bran. The older man gets, the more fiber he needs. Is that all that older man needs? Do you want to be late to the office the third time this week? Kofi wouldn't be up yet. But you couldn't expect a jazz musician who plays his last set at 2 a.m. to be up at 8 a.m. I don't see how he does it. The music is what carries me, Dad. It's a high by itself. I think that's what makes it so hard for me to understand why so many of the old-timers, people like Bird, Miles, Bud Powell, Chet Baker, Train, Monk, all those fantastic musicians, why did they feel compelled to use dope? I think that's a question each of them would answer in a different way. But I'd be willing to go out on a limb and make a blanket statement. I'm sure racism had a lot to do with it. I mean, think about what you would feel like knowing you're the cream de la cream and being asked to perform like a trained SEAL every night. And having the society we live in think of you as a talented nigga only. Kofi Quinn, professional jazz pianist, and at 22 years old, considered a pig in the artatum Oscar Peterson mold monk. Kwame is on his way to class now. I hope he doesn't try to read and drive at the same time. That last fender bender was totally unnecessary. Dad, what can I say? I'll be more careful in the future. Hey man, it's your car. You can mow the sidewalks with it if that's what you want to do. Yeah, I know what you're saying. My problem was the sociology exam. I was focusing. Don't try to bullshit me, son. You were reading. You're always reading. Kwame Quinn, 21 years old, a budding sociologist genius at the University of Chicago. Kwame, tell me, why sociology? There's a hell of a need for African American perspectives in sociology. Sociology is one of the most racist disciplines in academia. Well, anthropology, history, and psychology are definitely close seconds. In any case, we need it to keep them honest. I want to be a part of the movement to place our social picture in a clearer focus. Dinah, eldest Quinn, and Alpha sorority sister. That is Alpha, Kappa Alpha.
Okay.
Chairwoman of 4 philanthropic organizations, community activist, housewife. I love my home. African art collector. Let's face it, African American art is more than masks on the wall. Entrepreneur, supermom, wife, lover. He slowly eased into a walk a few doors from his palatial home. Damn, I'm good. Look at me. 50 good-looking years old, money in the bank, productive, things going on in my life, a beautiful future. He made a quick study of their 4-bedroom, 3-story home. Looks like one of those hip old-fashioned deals they have up in Evanston or Winnetka. The wide, deep front lawn was neatly trimmed and bordered with his favorite roses. The ivory paint job on the brick and wood sun porch bright and shining. He strolled up the circular driveway and detoured into the acreage behind the house. Uh-oh. The roses that bordered the back walk had been uprooted. He stood in place, his hands on his hips, for a pregnant minute, a film of perspiration on his face, more the result of frustration and anger than from exercising. Bella. I wonder what the hell made her do it. He looked up slowly to a second-floor bedroom window. The face glaring down on him was demonic, strangely contorted. Bella, if you weren't my schizophrenic daughter, I'd come upstairs and stick my foot in you. He waved casually to the face in the window and went into the house. Well, here he is. I thought you had run away with that white girl or something.
Oops.
Dinah peeked over the top of her Ben Franklin's with a humorous glint in her eyes. Robert Quinn laughed and gave her a quick peck on the lips. What white girl? You know the one with all that butter on her buns, who makes it her business to run as close to you as possible every morning. Who? What? How? What? Your son, the sociologist, checked you all out a couple of mornings on his way to class. Damn, you can't do nothing around here. Go on and take your shower. I have some fresh pineapple for you. Good, be right back. He started the stairwell to their bedroom and paused. Dinah, you see the roses out back? Once again, she looked over the top of her glasses. But the humorous glint was gone. Yes, I saw them. I think we need to talk to her about that and a few other things as well. He nodded numbly, dumbly. Bella, Bella, Bella. Such a pain in the ass, such a burden. He stripped his sweaty running gear off and stepped into the shower. Took a moment to adjust the temperature of the water and stood for a few meditative moments under the hard sprinkle. Beautiful baby. Let's call her Bella. Bright, sensitive, full of good humor. The baby of the family at 18. That's it, Mr. Quinn. No more pushing me out of shape. It was almost ideal for a few years. 2 groovy parents, a couple of slightly older, supportive brothers, a warm, caring family circle. He began to soap his body. What happened? Was it the day he found Bella huddled in the closet of a room? Bella, what are you doing, sweetheart? We're getting ready to go to the beach. How was she, 11, 12 years old? The year she insisted on wearing a winter coat all year long. Dinah thought it was because of her budding breasts. Girls can be terribly self-conscious about themselves at certain stages. I had a thing about my hands for a long time. The boys didn't agree. They had hemmed and hawed before Kwame, the forthright sociologist, was appointed the spokesman for the 2 of them. Mom, Dad, we don't think it's about growing up or any of that. Something is terribly wrong with our sister up here. It took another year for them to completely agree with their sons. He recalled the hell of that year, toweled himself dry. Dad, I wish you'd talk to Bella about coming into my room and mess with my papers and stuff. Mom, look, we gotta do something about Bella. She's making life miserable for all of us. She lies about everything. You can't leave anything around because she's apt to throw it away. She's sloppy and nasty. The girl leaves her sanitary napkins in the toilet stool. Luckily, she didn't flush them down the way she did the last time. Dad, I want to talk to you. What's up, Kofi? Well, I'm 21, and I think it's time for me to be on my own. I don't have a problem with that. Just like I told you and Kwame a couple of years ago, living is expensive. Rent and all that madness. The only advantage we offer you by living at home is savings. I know. But we both love you guys for that, but yeah, I know, Bella. Don't you think it's time you had her checked out? Oh, so you think I'm crazy, huh? No, baby, nobody's saying you're crazy. The doctors just simply want to run a few tests, that's all. You can't fool me. You all think I'm crazy. The doctors? Well, I'm not crazy. I'm not. Okay? The tests and the doctors said the same thing. Give or take a few hundred obscure words, more or less. Doc, give it to us in straight terms. What's wrong with our daughter? Straight, you want it? I'll give it to you straight. Bella is suffering from schizophrenia. I tend to say schizophrenic demons because that's what it's like for her, demonic. She is paranoid schizophrenic, on the cusp of depressive tendencies, and she's apt to get worse as time goes on. There are medications we can use to perhaps stabilize her condition. They sat in shock for a few moments. How could someone in our family be mentally unbalanced? Kwame, the pragmatist, broke through the silence. What causes this and how can it be cured, Doctor? Good question, both of them. We have some solid theories, but nothing absolutely concrete. We're fairly certain that genetics play a role in the development of this disease, this dis-ease. Understand me well, I'm using disease in the old-fashioned sense of the word. As for a cure, well, that's problematic at this point in medicine. We have medications that will help her deal with the monster she's facing, but I have to be completely honest with you. We have no cure. They included Bella in the family conference about how they were going to cope with their problem. It's the Afrocentric way. Is that the way you raised us? Yeah, like the patient should be in on whatever's happening. So I guess that means that you two bums are not going to run off and leave your crazy sister, huh? Ah, come on, Bella, get real. This is not the first time this family's had to face up to a crisis. Remember when Mom lost her pearl and jade earrings? Kofi, Kwame, beautiful brothers, succeeded in making Bella laugh about herself a few times. Robert, your wheat bran is getting cold. Coming, baby, coming. I said, your wheat bran is getting cold, not me. He smiled, pulling on a pair of ivory linen trousers. This woman is too much. After 25 years of marriage, she can still play the delicious flirt and make me like it. They had conferences with Bella. It's the Afrocentric thing. And they had conferences behind her back. All right, Kofi, spit it out. What's bugging you? Dad, Mom, Kwame, I don't want to see my sister in an institution, but what can we do to help her? Each of us has a life to live. We can't continue to ignore the fact that she's forcing us to live our lives according to her schedule. And her schedule is warped. We can't fool ourselves about that. I gotta go with my brother on this one. I mean, like, what if these voices Bella hears all the time should tell her to kill all of us in our sleep one night? Yeah, it was definitely some tricky shit. He settled on the white-on-white V-neck sweatshirt and the Moroccan sandals to start his day in. Robert Quinn of Quinn Products and Company, an Afrocentrically inclined operation, which meant no European striped suits, checkered ties, or linear minds, and besides, he wasn't going to go to any meeting with any of your normal go-to-office types. I can really see what that running white woman sees in you. You are fine, baby. I mean, fine. Or maybe I could put it another way. A fine figure of a man. He pulled his wife to him and squeezed hard. It was love, lust, trust, and outrageously good feelings between them. He held her against himself for a few moments, enjoying her woman feel, luxuriating in the idea of such a gorgeously beautiful African-American woman inside and out belonging to him. She's mine. He's mine. What is this, a sex out or something? Huh? What is this? What is it? What the fuck is this? What the fuck you people doing? Fucking? Bella's appearance in the kitchen was like a jagged shaft of unwelcome lightning. She seemed to enjoy watching them pull away from each other to cope with the disturbance. Bella, don't you have classes today? Yes, I do. I don't have to be there till 10:30. Our first period teacher's out sick. She got raped. They were flooded by her ephemeral attitude. One minute she seemed to be hostile. The next minute she was warm and loving. Dinah solemnly announced, it's got to be a giant case of PMS. I think the doctors are looking at the wrong end. Bella sneered, what about men? You have men go through the same trip. And who is to say that men don't have their own versions of PMS? Dinah prepared an extra bowl of pineapple and wheat bran. Come on, let's have breakfast on the terrace. You know, the way they do in the fashion house, beautiful cuisine magazines. She enjoyed sending their lifestyle up. We ain't no black and bougies up in here. Doing everything she felt that would make her family feel groovier and more solid. Bella helped her bring out the trays of fruit, bran, orange juice, and sat at the breakfast table with a distant look on her face. It was becoming warm already, but the foggy night had left pearls of dew on the grass. Baby, this shit is tasty. Scratch out the nasty word, and we will almost have a commercial. I think about it. The three of them munched on their bran flakes for a few moments, lost in their private worlds. Dinah leaned back in her director's chair and took a deep breath. Bella, she asked gently, why did you tear the rose bushes up? I didn't do it, Mom. I saw them this morning, and I asked myself, wonder who did that? Robert Quinn stared at a drifting cloud. Dinah Quinn bit her bottom lip and focused on not crying. Are you sure you didn't do it? Are you sure you didn't pull up the roses? Why would I want to do a thing like that? Bella asked, her face wreathed with innocence. Robert and Dinah Quinn exchanged knowing looks. This was going to be one of their days with Bella. He polished off his cereal and fruit with a few angry spoonfuls. Well, ladies, as he used to say, thank God for the cook for all I ate and the rest I took. Bella thought his remark was historically funny and laughed outrageously for a few minutes. Once again, the Quinns exchanged looks. What in the world are we going to do with this girl? I'm going to stop there for the moment and not go on to 2 because I don't want to rush this at the beginning because it's beginning to absorb me.
Yes, yes, yes.
So, with your permission,
yes, chapter 1.
Close out the first reading of Shackles Across Time.
Shackles.
Shackles Across Time.
There we go. Lovely, lovely. Thank you very much, Mr. Hawkins. I enjoyed that very much.
I should also like to say, in addition to everything I said to preface the reading of it, that I was very interested in the African perspective on the diaspora. I don't want to say the African because I was not all over Africa, but I went to Ghana with the idea of finding out a little bit about how it was that some West Africans thought about the diaspora, about what had happened. And I was quite surprised to find out, I don't want to say shocked, but I was quite surprised that many of the African students and teachers and other people that I talked to, just common run-of-the-day people, seem to not know very much about the diaspora at all. And matter of fact, it got to be quite a little bit of a detective problem for me. Finally, over a period of weeks, I wound up talking to some friends in a little place I used to go visit called the Shackles Bar. And one of the ladies, I was asking a question, do you remember any members of your family being taken away in the slave trade? And one person after another, so didn't happen to us, But there had to be some family in Ghana that had a missing member who was taken away to slave trade. Finally, on this particular afternoon, the lady on the bar said, "Yeah, I remember the story of a great grandmother who had been traded away for a bag of sugar." And that was like the first inkling, the first open admission from the people I was talking to that, they could relate personally to the slave trade. But like many people here, like many white people say, I never heard of the slave trade. My family wasn't involved with that. We didn't own any slaves, so I don't know what you're talking about. I got this same kind of similar thing there about somebody saying, well, we heard of the slave trade, but we didn't have anything to do with it. We didn't have any members in our family taken away that we know of or that we can remember. So just keep digging, Buster, and see what you come up with. So the lady with the bag of sugar story was like a door opening, and then later I had the opportunity to talk to some historians. One of them was a Dr. Opoku at the University of Ghana, who hit me to the fact that a lot of Africans felt that it would be best to forget something like that. Of course, there are many other people who wouldn't come up with that ignorant thing.
Yeah, especially now, and since the year of the return last year, and so
Well, when those of us who are of African American descent go to Africa, West Africa specifically, sometimes it's kind of a disappointment because that's a lot. This will occur in here. We'll get into it, but that is a lot of what happens when the brother shows up. I can't ever forget it. Who had every piece of. He had bear claws around his neck and a dashiki from Holland. And I think he spoke 2 words of Ga or tree or something. He was a very dark brother, and we shared a room for a couple of days, and he was shocked to discover that people thought of him as an Obruni, as a white man, a European. I mean, the man was almost in tears. Yeah. Why can they call me? How can they call me that? Well, okay, as it was explained to me, you don't know where your ancestors' graves are, or where your ancestors' villages were, and you walk like a European, you talk like a European, and you
smell like a European.
So you must be a European.
And you smell like a European.
Having said all of that, let me prepare myself for tomorrow's reading.
Yes, thank you for reading.
Stopping this right now.
Yes, all right. Thank you for reading Shackles Across Time, the first chapter. It can be purchased at Author House, Barnes & Noble, Amazon, your local bookstore. Just go in and say, I want a copy of Shackles Across Time.
Shackles Across Time. Did I neglect to mention that Shackles Across Time, the drawing was made by none other than Zola Salena-Hawkins,
Yes.
who sometimes will pick up the drawing stick and sometimes pick up the camera. So she's multifaceted.
Indeed. Your website is www.odiehawkins.com. You can Google Odie Hawkins and see the documentaries and the various adventures of Odie Hawkins. We look forward to the next reading tomorrow.
You got it. Tomorrow's another day. We got things to do. We got eggs to lay.
Ashe.
Ashe.